So we are in the middle of a sermon series called Jesus, the Original Superhero. Last week we talked a little bit about Captain America. Today we need to talk about Batman. I even got my Batman socks on. Now I was told when I started the series that I can't use Batman because he's not a superhero. But Batman is a superhero, he just doesn't have superpowers. Right? I mean, he's really no different than any other human being. He's just got billions of dollars, and he has really cool toys, and he's in really good shape. But he does super things. But it's not really what Batman does that I want to talk about today. It's the feeling that Batman gives the people of the city of Gotham. When they see the bat symbol up in the sky, right, they feel safe. They feel secure, and crime goes down. Jesus is that peace for us. The gospel lesson today is that they were in the boat, and they were going across the sea, and all of a sudden a big storm came up, and they were frightened, and they thought they were going to die. They thought they were going to capsize and drown. And they said to Jesus, "Don't you care if we drown?" And Jesus gets up and calms the storm. And Jesus is that presence in our lives that provides calm and peace. Well, how does he do that? How does he do that today? How do people see the presence of Jesus in our community today? I was golfing a few weeks ago, and I was in a tournament. I was with a guy who I just met, and whenever you're golfing, it always comes up with new people. What do you do for a living? And I told him, well, I'm a Lutheran pastor here in South Lake. I said, what do you do for a living? He kind of got this sheepish look on his face. He said, well, I'm the beer guy. And I was like, that's a job? I don't really like beer. I've never had one in my life, but is there such a job as the chocolate milk guy? Because I could really enjoy that. But he turns out he works for Dos Equis and marketing. And I said, why are you guys doing away with the most interesting man in the world? And he said, well, we've done that for 10 years. We're going to come back with a younger version of him. And I said, well, I'm available. But I'm really not. I'm not. So he says, I'm the beer guy. And I said, and he kind of, and I go, well, the community needs one of everything, right? It needs a beer guy. And it also needs a church. A community needs a church. A community needs a church to be the presence of God, so that when people are hurting, they know they can turn to the church. When people are anxious on Sunday morning and don't know what's going on, they know that there are people in their community who are gathered, who are worshiping, who are praying. And I think the church can serve the community in a number of ways. There's a number of ways that we can be the presence of God in the community. And I love our story. I love our story. 5 years ago we organized. 5 years ago we organized, we were the fastest church to organize in the history of our synod, of our mission area. We did it so quickly, and I just love it. Shall we gather? Thank you for singing that song today. Shall we gather? I know that was a question a lot of people asked, even while I was still in seminary. Shall we try this? Shall we gather? And you said, yes, we shall gather. And it's amazing what the power that has had, that we have gathered and the things we have done, but there is still work to do. God is still calling us to do things, to be the presence of God in the community. And I think the first and easiest way to do that is the world needs kind people. The world needs us to go out and to be kind. When we think of the church and the community, sometimes the church doesn't do kind things. Sometimes the church decides who's going to heaven and who's going to hell and tells people. Sometimes the church decides who somebody should vote for or what ways somebody should spend their money. And that's really not the job of the church. The job of the church is to be kind. Some of you might have saw my post on Facebook this week, and you may have heard this story in the past. But there is no greater example in my life of somebody being kind to me than when I was 10 years old and I met Muhammad Ali. I was sitting at the Hilton at Hyde Park in Chicago. My dad took me there for the weekend. We were going to Wrigley Field and Comiskey Park to see baseball. And we were just sitting in the restaurant of the hotel one day, and it was a Saturday, and we were like the only ones in there. And all of a sudden, Muhammad Ali walks in. with his agent. He sees me there, a 10-year-old kid, and he makes a beeline for me. And he comes up and sits at our table for probably a half hour, maybe longer. And he's talking to my father, and he's talking to me, and he's doing magic tricks. And he took an honest interest in us. He took an honest interest in me as a little kid. He wanted to know everything about me. And he signed this wonderful autograph for me. It said, "To Nick from Muhammad Ali, serve God, he is the goal." And the next day I saw him again. We were checking out, and he was checking out. And he came up to me, and he saw me, and he put his arm around me and goes, "Hey, Nick, how did you like the baseball game last night?" He was just so kind. You know, the thing about being kind is that people feel that. When you are kind to somebody else, people feel that. People remember the way you made them feel. And Muhammad Ali wasn't even a Christian. But he made me feel special by the way he was kind to me. I think the church needs to go out and be kind in our community. Just take interest in people. Listen to them. Ask questions about them. I think, as Taylor talked about, the church is called to share. It's called to share. And that's what we're going to do this week with Feed Our Kids. We've been doing this now. This is the 7th summer. Can you believe that? Started in the summer of 2010. We were feeding our kids before we gathered to worship. We were already out there feeding kids. I mean, when you think about making an announcement, who wants to make desserts for 100 kids? And by the time I get to the back, Lori Natvig already says, I will. We're going to have probably a dozen people between the 5 days who go out each and every day in the hot sun and share food, our food, with these children. And, you know, the reality is some of these kids, if we weren't there, they'd probably have lunch. But there's a lot of the kids that we're going to meet that would not have lunch if it weren't for us. They're going to remember the church sharing with them. We're called to be kind. We're called to share. And then, again, we're singing today at the end. We're singing I Love to Tell the Story. It's like the 3rd time we've sung it in the last. It's okay, though. It's a good hymn. We decided, let's sing all the hymns that we sang. We did this a couple weeks ago. And we're like, oh, I love to tell the story again. But it's a good hymn, and I love the story, and I love the hymn. But I've been thinking, we have to do more than tell the story. We have to be the story. We have to be the story. We have to be the gospel for our community. We have to be the love of God. We have to be the grace of God in our communities. We have to let people know that God is forgiving, and by doing that, we need to be forgiving. We need to let people know that God is loving, and we need to be loving. When people see us, we shouldn't have to tell them about God. They should see God in the way that we act, in the things that we do. And when they see us, it would be like seeing the bat signal in the sky. They see us and they go, oh yeah, God is here. God is with us. And hopefully, by realizing that, they find peace, just like we have. Just like we need to remember that God is here. I don't know of any other story to tell you to prove the existence of God than to look back at the last 5 years and say, look at all that God has done. And think 5 years ahead and think, God still has a lot more to do. And I can't wait to sit here on our 10th anniversary and to see what it is. Amen.